Hello everyone and welcome to this new edition of Initiative Africa. We're heading for Ouagadougou, where an extraordinary artist is bringing to life African dolls that celebrate the continent's identity and culture. But first, here's the summary of our program. Paule Okri, a women's rights activist, looks back at her struggles and the current issues in Côte d'Ivoire.
Our mission in the League is to promote women's rights and gender equality.
In Ouagadougou, the Poupéemania project celebrates African identity through handcrafted dolls, offering children models that reflect the culture and the pride of the continent.
I was just passing by and discovered the Poupéemania shop, and to tell you the truth, it's really impressive. It's a mix of art and culture. It's very pretty and it's very well done.
Widows who refuse bullying and expropriation, some Pointe Noire women are determined to fight against the prejudices encountered when their husbands die.
I'm not fooled. I'm both legally and traditionally married. And where were they when I supported my sick husband for 7 years?
What if toys could tell the story of a continent? In Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, an artist has taken up this challenge by creating dolls that are not just toys, but true ambassadors of African identity. Welcome to the world of Poupéemania, where each doll embodies the pride, culture, and the beauty of Africa. It's a colorful, authentic world designed to inspire younger generations and remind them that they too are part of a great history. A report by Sonia Kokti.
It is in this warm and captivating environment that Abby Mare creates her African dolls. These works of art can be recognized by their carefully knotted scarves or frizzy hair. The style of the dress reflects the African identity of proud, fulfilled, hard-working men and women. Poupéemania's creations are not only designed for children to play with, but are also decorative and useful.
This is a hand towel doll used for wiping hands. It's like a paper towel holder. And this is the shoe baby doll. It's similar to a Barbie doll, but it's an African doll. The decorative doll holds everything on the desk: pen, stamps, like a princess doll. This is the Na doll holding her basket, and this one is simply a decorative doll. There are Saramani dolls, little Saramani dolls, vehicle dolls, and jewelry holders, all well crafted with beads. For instance, a bride ordered 300 of these dolls as gifts for her wedding guests.
And the visitors we meet there, both loyal customers and newcomers, are amazed by these items.
I was just passing by and discovered the Poupéemania shop, and to tell you the truth, it's really impressive. It's a mix of art and culture. It's very pretty and it's very well done. I'm here with my darling little sister. She'll soon be in primary school and we could still give her this doll for her birthday. Really, it's very pretty. And what's at the bottom? Peace and love. It's really great.
The dolls I have at home are made of plastic. They have white skin and makeup. But compared to the dolls I see here, they're well dressed, traditional. I like them because I'm African myself.
All the dolls are unique creations, and there are dozens of them. The dolls are entirely handmade using locally sourced materials, carefully chosen to ensure they are safe for children.
We used soft iron, foam, wool and jersey, the brown fabric, to create our dolls. This is different from factory-made dolls which are often made from bags and recycled materials. Children often put toys directly into their mouths, which can be risky as we don't always know what these factory-made toys contain. This can be a potential risk for children's health. However, handmade dolls are safer as we know exactly what materials are used to make them. You are welcome to visit our workshop to see how our dolls are made. I went to school up to the 4th grade. We had to flee our town because of terrorism. Now, this lady is taking me in to teach me how to make dolls. I've always learned a lot. Soon, if I work hard, I'll be able to open a workshop so that I can take care of myself.
This visual artist has been working on African dolls for over 30 years, producing an average of 500 pieces a month. She creates other types of dolls, mainly decorative, primarily using canvas and recycled materials for her customers.
Here, for example, Afrique Dia means the cream of Africa. Africa is always painted in black, death, disease. But I say no, Africa is also vibrant, with colors, beauty, celebration and joy. A flower doll that you can give to a bride as a wedding present. She'll put it in her living room. The chiefs. Here we like the chiefs. They are always well dressed. I use the recycled components because I see the ladies who get up at 4 a.m. to pick the crops from the gardens to sell at the markets. So I ask them to sell me their used bicycle parts. They sell to mechanics for 50 CFA francs, 100 CFA francs to the mechanic. But I think that's not fair. So they come and sell it to me. I give them something for 1,000 or 2,000 CFA francs each.
Since then, I've fallen under the spell of her work. The iron base, with the motorcycle parts, bicycle parts and fabrics, it represents the whole of Africa, but more colorful. For example, this small collection, I think I'll buy it. They're easy to carry on pieces that you can give to someone that they can put on their desk or in their living room.
Poupéemania's work has won several awards, including national honors, through a decoration. The dolls are exported to several countries across Africa, Europe and Asia.
Well, our guest today is Paule Okri, whose voice resonates far beyond the borders of Côte d'Ivoire. A tireless campaigner, Paule Okri has made the fight for women's rights her life's mission. President of the Ligue Ivoirienne des Droits des Femmes and winner of the prestigious Simone de Beauvoir Prize, she joins us to share her inspiring journey, her challenges and her victories. Listen to her.
Paule Okri, hello and welcome on Initiative Africa. So you are the co-founder of the Ivorian League for Women's Rights. What does the Simone de Beauvoir Award mean to you personally and to the Ivorian League for Women's Rights?
Receiving this prize warms my heart. It means that my actions are seen beyond my country and continent. For the League, this prize is a kind of recognition of what we are doing on the ground. I think I shouldn't speak for others, but it shows that what we do has an impact and therefore visibility.
Can you tell us about the main missions and objectives of the Ivorian League for Women's Rights?
Our mission in the League is to promote women's rights and gender equality. We aim to raise awareness in these areas and work on improving access to education and health care. Our objectives include educating women about school and health issues, reproductive health, and general well-being, and increasing women's representation in decision-making bodies. Additionally, we strive to combat economic inequality.
L'égalité économique. Et nos objectifs, ça coule de source, ça coule de nos
Our goals are rooted in our mission to reduce discrimination against women, decrease female illiteracy, and ensure women are aware of their rights, particularly in terms of health and reproductive health. We also seek to empower women in rural areas to achieve greater financial independence. I believe this clearly articulates our aspirations.
What are the most immediate challenges facing women in Côte d'Ivoire today?
Les défis les plus urgents, déjà, c'est
Violence against women is the most pressing challenge. Hardly a day goes by without reports of rape, physical violence, and denial of resources. It's already an emergency and a huge challenge. There's also the issue of access to land, which is a significant problem in rural areas. Additionally, there are challenges related to access to opportunities. Women's political participation and their representation in decision-making bodies, as very few women are in such positions. For instance, there are only 34 women out of 200 members in the National Assembly, which is about 4%. There are less than 10 women in the government, which is a very small number considering the abundance of talented women in Côte d'Ivoire.
How is your organization responding to it?
Déjà au niveau
We are actively raising awareness to reduce violence against women. We advocate for policy changes to ensure that our laws are more robust and effectively enforced.
Qu'on ait l'effectivité aussi de ces lois-là sur le terrain. Pour la participation des femmes,
we also provide political training for women
des formations politiques, on fait aussi des plaidoyers
to enhance their participation in politics
auprès des décideurs afin
and continue to lobby decision makers
qui favorisent
to support laws that promote women's empowerment and access to land.
Pour le pouvoir, oui, pour le pouvoir. Aussi pour l'accès à la terre, heureusement nos lois en Côte d'Ivoire permettent aux femmes.
Fortunately, our laws in Côte d'Ivoire give women access to land and the right to inherit. We often face customary laws on the ground that deny women the right to own land. It's crucial to raise awareness and educate village decision makers and traditional chiefs about the importance of women having land rights. Given that these women contribute 80% of our food production.
Et ce sont ces femmes qui produisent tout ce qu'on mange. Les hommes sont de grands producteurs, mais des producteurs de cacao.
Men are important producers of crops like cocoa and rubber. These are not direct food sources. Ensuring that women have access to land is essential for food security and sovereignty, as they produce the food we consume daily, such as eggplant, rice, and vegetables, which are vital for the country. Therefore, addressing the issue of women's access to land is both urgent and necessary.
Can you share a recent League initiative or project that has had a significant impact on women's rights in Côte d'Ivoire?
We are also involved in an initiative called Count for All, in collaboration with other organizations. Through this initiative, we are urging public authorities to conduct studies on violence against women to gather accurate data. Concrete figures will enable us to work more effectively. establish support mechanisms, and develop a system to address women's needs. Knowing the extent of the issue is necessary to advocate for resources such as shelters or determine where to allocate them. There are just a couple of the initiatives we are currently working on, but there are many more in our efforts to address this issue.
Welcome back to the second part of our show. In many African countries, becoming a widow is often the beginning of a terrible emotional and financial struggle. Humiliating rights, bullying by the in-laws, or even expropriation, the lives of many widows seem like a punishment. The situation is exacerbated by the ignorance of the rights and the spirit of fatality of the victims. But in Pointe Noire, a group of women has started to brainstorm together to bring change in their communities. Take a look.
Becoming a widow in the Congo is often the beginning of unimaginable injustice, including the loss of all basic rights. The widow is usually thrown out of the marital home, her property confiscated, and even deprived of her deceased husband's pension. Clémence and Goma learned this the hard way.
They deprived me of my husband's pension. They make fun of me, saying that I can no longer benefit because of the complicated procedures. I'm not fooled. I'm both legally and traditionally married. And where were they when I supported my sick husband for 7 years?
In the Congo, civil marriage must be preceded by traditional or customary marriage. Traditional marriage is based on dowry, but although the dowry is capped at $100 by law, customary marriage has become increasingly expensive. For the proposal ceremony, the suitor can spend up to $10,000 on numerous gifts, plus an envelope for the in-laws and the reception for the guests. Many young people fear this ceremony before civil marriage and settle into an open-ended cohabitation. How can someone live with someone else's daughter for 15 or even 20 years without taking her to the city hall? Or we remove the obligation to dowry and we go to the city hall and make the dowry, so as the family code says, one of the parents should certify that after the marriage the dowry will be made. It is important to remember that it is not said that you should be endowed first before you get married. They say you can go and get married, but only if a certificate proves that the bride and groom will come to celebrate their dowry. However, we have reversed everything. The groom's family finds it difficult to accept this excessive expenditure on the party's organization, the various gifts, and the envelope offered to the in-laws. They often wait for the right moment to take revenge. Faced with the increasing number of abuses against widows, Jessica Goma had the idea of creating a group to take action against gender-based violence. It is an association of women lawyers aiming to combat these injustices in the Congo through awareness and advocacy.
Women should not lose their rights. This means everything, and it challenges us because we often have the impression that when a woman buries her husband, she buries her rights with him, which is quite absurd in the 21st century. After all, there are still laws that exist and which, unfortunately, are not applied as they should be.
The right to property and inheritance are provided for in the Constitution. However, they still elude widows who are reluctant to claim them in court for fear of reprisals or ignorance. The situation of cohabiting women who have lost their spouse is more worrying. They cannot benefit from any legal protection to inherit from the deceased spouse, and the status quo is unfortunately well entrenched in Congolese culture. A woman who calls herself a widow must be officially married, and the state must recognize that for her rights to apply, she must be married. She's not a woman who has been married customarily. The Reflection and Action Group Against Gender-Based Violence accompanies many widows and women in court daily to assert their rights. In addition to legal support, these lawyers also aim to empower the widows economically.
We need to create a cooperative of widows so they can work together, encourage and help each other, and above all, make money from their activity. It's a question of women empowerment, and we are really encouraging all women to think about being autonomous and to find ways of being self-sufficient.
Several experts believe that the dowry, once symbolic, is similar to the commodification of women and that it is an obstacle to legal marriage in Congolese society. Perhaps its symbolic value should be restored to avoid family tensions and give women their dignity back. The next challenge for the Reflection Group is to intensify its lobbying towards the government and members of parliament to shake up the prevailing inaction surrounding this complex societal issue.
Let's meet our guest again. We delve into her personal journey, exploring what motivated her fight for justice and how she balances her activist responsibilities and her personal life. Take a look.
Welcome back to the second part of this interview. What motivated you to found the Ivorian League for Women's Rights?
I have been active on the internet before the establishment of the League. As an agronomist, I spent a significant amount of time in rural areas and used to share the challenges rural women face online. The other founding members of the League also share information about their training. One day, we were deeply moved by a very violent video depicting a woman in tears on the floor of the balcony. Those of us in Abidjan got together and went to the scene. Although I wasn't there, I provided support from behind a screen and was responsible for communications. After visiting the scene, we thought it would be interesting to create a formal organization to serve as a voice for these women. That's how the League was born.
How have the values passed on to you by your parents influenced your career and your commitment to women's rights?
I had a father who was quite a feminist. I have to say that. My father would never say, "You're a woman, that's it, you can't do this or you can't do that." He was a father with whom I often went hunting. We came back with nothing because we weren't good hunters. My father, who made me read his newspaper, told me that there are no limits, that even the sky is not a limit for me, because people have walked on the moon. So there you have it. I can't discuss any particular trigger. I've always been like that. I've always been interested in women's issues.
How do you manage the balance between your personal life and your responsibilities as an activist?
I have been fortunate as everything worked out in the end. At the League, I work as a feminist activist responsible for the social intervention department. My background is in agronomy, and I have been able to align my skills with my principles. When I establish women's groups in rural areas, it's because of my expertise in agronomy. Similarly, when I educate women on organic farming and producing organic fertilizers and pesticides, it's primarily due to my academic and professional competencies. There is truly no distinct separation. Thankfully, everything has fallen into place seamlessly.
What advice would you give to young women who aspire to become leaders in the fight for women's rights?
My message to those who follow my work is that they should act on their convictions. Not everyone can be like influential figures such as Paule, Simone de Beauvoir or Constance Yahi, but we can make an impact at our level. For example, some people tell me they admire my activism and the visibility of our actions, saying that they can't do what I do. I always remind them that I gain visibility because of their support and being vocal about my initiatives. By doing so, they are also contributing at their level. Everyone can take action to support the cause of women, which is ultimately the cause of the country, considering that women make up almost half of the population. In today's globalized world, the economic value of a country is based on all its resources, including its people. Neglecting a portion of the population means a loss of resources and skills, ultimately impacting the country. Therefore, it is crucial to advocate for women for their sake and the well-being and progress of the entire nation.
Finally, what message would you like to send about ensuring these rights in Côte d'Ivoire?
I firmly believe that every woman is entitled to justice, life, and respect. This is not just my opinion, it's what our Constitution states. I urge our governments to take action to ensure that women are never isolated again.
Well, that's it. Initiative Africa is over for today. You can find the interview with Paule Okri as well as our programs on our website, africaonair.com. And of course, don't hesitate to follow us on our social networks and to share, like, and comment with the hashtag Initiative Africa. And don't forget to tune in next week, same time, same channel, for a new episode of Business Africa. Have a great week, and until next time, goodbye.